meeting to order, and if you would please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by the invocation. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's bow our heads in prayer, please. Our gracious and kind Heavenly Father, Lord, we thank you for such a wonderful evening you've given us. We again thank you for the opportunity that we have here to gather and to make decisions. Lord, we ask that you'll be with this meeting tonight. We ask that your presence be known. We ask that we all feel humbled by the pure existence of the ability to be here. Lord, we ask that you will be with this council, give them the courage and the wisdom to make the decisions that are not only in the best interest of this town, but Lord, but also in your eyes. We ask all this in your Son's name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Father. Hey, before we get started with the agenda, we had the Oktoberfest this weekend, and the Tazewell Chamber actually sent us a thank you letter, and I'll read a little bit of extra of that today. And without the support of the town of Tazewell, the Public Works crew, and the Tazewell Police Department, events like Oktoberfest would not be possible. Chief Mills and his officers did a great job at the Oktoberfest event. The work provided by the Public Works crew was studied ever since, and we are so impressed with the willingness of our men on this crew so quickly respond to every request for assistance. And then I did have an invite in our society, good deeds and special assistance go unrecognized. With your approval, which letter was sent to Todd, we would like to schedule a dinner for some kind of event for the town police department, the members of the Public Works crew. Again, I salute everyone who participated and who helped and organized in this event. And I think the Public Works and the Police Department and the administration needs a hand.
Thank you.
As far as I know, there was no incidents during the event and as well attended. And the weather cooperated very nicely. Okay. This time, we have a special presentation recognizing Jack. We passed, and I think Perry has stuff on this, maybe or not.
I can do it off the top of my head.
Okay. If Jack would come forward, and I have the thing, and thank you. This is a recognition presented to Jack Recast on behalf of the town of Tazewell Town Council in recognition for your recent contribution to the historical train station. We give you this recognition of a certificate. Take one to his picture.
Tell them that speech, Jack. Tell them what you told me they got to do. They done met all 9 of the 10 points, right? They got one more thing they got to do.
That's the town awards or our district officers.
Okay, now Jack was on the council.
North Tazewell Town Council was the last one.
Oh, right. Still there.
And he said when they combined the towns, that they agreed to do 10 things. Now, he didn't tell me what all 10 of them was. He just told me that we left one out. And that was to break the town up into wards.
They want to be on record somewhere. That's a good idea.
And I think it's great that Jack here contributed to our train station, because we have the signs that are going to hang in the station that used to hang on both ends of the station that say Tazewell. And those signs for other stations, I'm sure, are long gone. But thanks to him being there in the neighborhood and paying attention and taking advantage of opportunities when he had them, they were in his house for all these years. And he said we could have them. So they're here now. And when the station is restored, they'll be inside. And there'll be replicas of them back on the outside that look just like it used to.
I was going to put them on the eve of my house. Come on, wife.
And we thank his wife too, because she saved them all.
There was a little wig wag, you know, like that. I was wanting that, but the guy said you had to go to Rome to get it. And I didn't do that.
Thank you for your contribution.
Thank you.
That's a good history thought there, Terry. Last living council member.
I think it's great, the last living council member for County of North Tazewell, Virginia.
Hey, next on the agenda is Christmas market, 52 in the Mansion Hoops. Please.
You go, Vicky, Amanda.
We are the bookends of one side of Main Street. Well, I'm Vicki, this is Amanda, and we'd like to thank you for allowing us to come and speak to you about the Christmas market that we're planning to do. We've actually given it a name, a rather long name. It's a Main Street Christmas that our group voted on, and we've added to it a Winter Wonderland, something we can have some fun with. So, first of all, we want to ask the town council for permission to close Main Street on December the 1st, which is the same day as the Christmas parade and the tree lighting. And we want to work together with them to make this sort of one cohesive event, something really spectacular and fun. And we know along with closing the streets involves the public works employees. Can't say enough good about them. They're the ones that make things happen in this town, in my opinion. So we are requesting that they help us with this, with all the logistics of setting it up, traffic control and all of that. And to support us in this. We think it'll be a really fun family event. At this point, in just 2 weeks' time, we already have about 50 vendors that have contacted us. They're all legitimate craftsmen, food vendors, authors, that sort of thing. They're mass produced. I'm a firm believer festivals should be about what's locally and regionally made. So that's the approach we're taking with it. Someone asked me the other day what I thought the goal of this was, since we're not trying to raise any money this year. To me, the goal is twofold. One, to kick off the Christmas season and the shopping season and so forth for our town. People start getting out and mingling around. The second one is to just recognize and thank our community, our town council, for all the wonderful things that have happened in our town this year. So that would be a nice way to end the year, I think, is to have this festival, just to bring all these different entities together. And we are talking to all the different groups around Tazewell, the Chamber of Tazewell today, different ones about being involved, a lot of the churches and so forth. So from there, Amanda has another request that we would like to talk about.
In addition to it being a festival for the arts, we're trying to create an atmosphere. We're going to have carolers, Santa Claus, picture sort of a little Santa village for photos for the kids. So it's just going to be a fun evening for families. We have found a company who actually rents out portable ice skating rinks. And this company provides the liability waivers, they provide ice skates. It's really, really quite incredible. There are a couple of options we thought that we would throw out there. The 1 week option is $1,000, and we thought we would suggest that we come up with the funding for that ourselves. Yes, and all you need is a clean, dry surface and some crowd control barriers. The second option is actually there's two others. You can rent it for 2 weeks for $2,500, and you can rent it for a month for $5,000. If we rent it for long term, say 2 weeks or a month, the town could charge admission and make that money back easily.
At that point, we're asking that the town would do it. And we've had a lot of people on our committee would like to see it.
Where are you proposing putting it?
Well, at first I thought the parking lot beside me would be a great place beside my store. but it is sloped a little bit, and there's a steep hill off to one side, and we could probably take care of that. I'm not sure Luke Van Dyke will go along with that, but I would ask him, you know. I've got some teammates that can bang up on him with me. But that was one place. And then it occurred to us another great place would be down at the bottom where the future parking garage, where the farmer's market was for a while. We've already talked about using those pole lamps, those long lamps that we have, to put one down there, maybe two at this point, and to use the trolley to sort of taxi kids and people up and down the
So it
hill.
does not have to be a paved surface, it just has to be a flat
Just
surface?
dry and flat.
Okay.
Dry and flat's what it
It
says.
sets up in all conditions, all weather conditions.
It can be left out year round, actually, because it's synthetic. And Dr. Brown probably could address skating better than I ever could. I've never been on a pair of ice skates. I roller skate. But I'm not sure what the difference in a synthetic and an ice rink would be for a festival. I don't know that it would make a lot of difference. It doesn't have to be resurfaced constantly or anything. We're not proposing that you buy it or we buy it. We just think it would be a great idea to rent it. If it's successful this year, then maybe in the future we could invest in a legitimate ice skating rink with the freezer components and everything, which would be fabulous.
A lot of families, mine included, we take off at least twice a season and go to the Speedway Lights. And down in the center there, they have one of these rinks. I just think it would be an attraction, sort of like the water park was on the summer, an attraction to come to Tazewell.
And then I had a customer come in the store, and actually she's a friend. She's probably early 30s. And I was talking to her about it, bouncing ideas off of her. She was like, oh, this would be wonderful. With the restaurants in Tazewell, we would have a legitimate cake night through the winter. Somewhere to go after we eat, go down there and sit and have a cup of hot chocolate or whatever, skate under the lights. This comes with music, by the way, and a lighting system. So not the big lights, obviously, but they saw it as something that even adults could get into. So, I mean, I think it could be wonderful for our town, our committee. I only thought about one day when we were throwing it out there. Our committee is all about the town doing it for a month for our kids. That's neither here, I mean, that's up to you all to decide, but we would like to ask that if we could at least do it over the 1 week ourselves.
Todd, what do you think?
Yeah, I've actually contacted, Vicki, you sent me the one, and I've actually made contact with them, and we're still talking logistics. The biggest thing is being flat.
It does have to.
Well, it don't have to be, it just might be a hard stop, so. But the biggest thing is trying to find somewhere flat. The grass, if you leave it for a month, obviously it'll kill the grass. So there's a lot of options there. And you know, what I like to do is just continue to research it, and hopefully in the next couple of weeks, I'm waiting on them, they're not waiting on me.
I have 2 phone calls on my answering machine from different places, waiting to give us quotes. This one just seemed to be the best one.
How big is it?
You can get different sizes, they'll custom size it for you, because they come in pallets, on pallets. And ideally, one that would provide skating for about 100. And I think that is actually what this one said. I'd have to pull it back up.
With the higher price options, they come in and set it up for you. They ship it for free. They come in and set it up and then take it down. With the $1,000 option, the shipping's not included.
Yeah, you can't figure out how they set it up if they won't bring it.
My question here would be, what is the liability to the town?
Well, I'm already put that email into DML too.
Okay.
So I just haven't heard back yet, but in the next couple of weeks, I should have it tied down. So
I don't think a waiver would stand up if somebody wanted to sue.
I'll just email cancel and let you know where it's at and cost and stuff when I get it figured out.
Yeah. I'd
I'm
like
on
to know the cost too.
Work with Todd.
You said, what was the second one?
Price,
Yes.
2,500, yeah, for
First.
2 weeks.
21,
25.
25 for 2.
Right.
5.
Now, we would be responsible for operating it and manning it, right? They
We
just
would
have
have
to
to
say that.
provide
You have the
someone.
people, right?
Yeah. There is also a rubber mat that would be at the entrances into it for the skaters to help with some laws, and the waivers do come with it. I agree with you, I don't know how legal those are.
I just read an article today about waivers, and they said you can sign them, but they might not stand.
I was told that one time over a field trip, their kids are going on.
Well, I'll make a motion for you to work with Todd and see what Todd come up with his ones.
Let's do the closing the street first. Okay.
We'll close the street.
Okay.
What's the logistics of that, closing the street with the parade coming through?
Well, my original suggestion, and I've even put it out there to these vendors, is they contact me. Instead of setting up in the parking spots, they set it back to the sidewalk, set their tents up on the sidewalks, leave all entrances clear into, like my business, Amanda's, restaurants, but bring the tents back. One, if it's chilly or windy, that serves as a wind barrier somewhat too, to bring it back. The only thing is we haven't measured the sidewalks, so it may involve the vendors bringing some cinder blocks to raise the front 2 legs or 3 legs of their canopies up. But you know, that's not a bad idea anyway, because they need, even in the summer, you need to have some sort of weights to hold down a canopy, and we do sandbags with ours. But that was our idea, to move it back onto the sidewalk. That way, at the most, we're talking about maybe 2 feet out into the road. I mean, I'm assuming the sidewalks are 8 feet. I don't have, is that?
Does our maintenance supervisor know how wide our walks are?
It varies as you go up it, but you're looking at minimum, at the narrowest spot's 15 feet.
15 feet?
Yeah, that's at its narrowest spots up through there.
So, I mean, and most of those canopies are 10, and some 10, 12 or 12.
Yeah.
So it should work, and it would not interfere with the parade at all. And we also have told our vendors if this happens, that we've asked them all during the parade they are to close down, so that they aren't taking away from the parade. You know, that would be a good time for them to
Did you
eat.
talk to Ms. Mitchell?
Yeah, the good thing about this event is she is talking to Miss Mitchell. You know, Miss Mitchell's doing the parade, so coordinating the 2 events together, the logistics of the event, good question, needs to be looked at between staff, the police department. We'll take care of this and make this thing a happening event. So, I mean, all they're asking for, the street closure has already been approved, of course, for the parade. They're just asking to extend the hours a little more or a little bit longer in order to make this a successful event. So,
My question would be, if you're gonna have 50 vendors there on the sidewalks, where are the people gonna stand to watch the parade?
On the street in the parking spots. That's why we want to pull it back off the street. I mean, last year's Christmas parade, there were no cars parked on the street,
That's all right.
and, which was great, by the way. But, and so at first I thought, well, the tents will go there, and then it occurred to me, we're at the Spectre, they can't be behind the tents, they wouldn't see a thing.
That's right.
So that's why I thought, if we pull the tents back, they can stand in that area where the cars would be
And that
parked.
vicinity, just in case it rains or snows
Yeah.
real bad, they can step into the tent.
and what we'll do, Jack, is as we figure that out, we'll communicate back with Ken. So like I said, the police department will all,
It would seem to me like you're gonna have to have someone there, which is gonna create another work for somebody else to keep the crowd back.
we'll figure it out. I'll just have to come back. I'll feed it back to Ken.
I already have, if it helps any, I know they're not public works, but we have a very large growing list of volunteers. I'm overwhelmed with how many people are stepping up and saying they want to volunteer at this. You may be able to use some of them to help with crowd control too.
Well, give you a quick example. If you go to Disney World or you go to other places and they have these parades, like at Royal Beach or whatever, where they have rope things that come down through the rope before they come, and that way everybody can cross through ropes, going back and forth. So
That's what I'm talking about, you have to have something like that.
just
We'll figure
and then
it out.
as soon as the parade's over, we can just pull the ropes back through.
I make a
All you
motion
need, all you need is a motion.
I make a motion for the manager to take, to work with
I'll make a motion, we close Main Street.
Yes.
A second.
Okay, good enough.
Got a motion to close Main Street in a second, okay? Any other discussion? Hearing none, call for a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Now,
Hallelujah.
we need a motion for the other thing, just to let it play.
Skating rink? Yeah, I'll make a motion to continue to explore the opportunity to have, obviously the one day is a great idea, but I would love to see us go for the month.
I'll second.
Got a motion and a second, any discussion?
And I would love to see the town step up with half, and I think we could probably find $2,500 with 5 businesses giving you $500 apiece. You know, I'd be one that would do that.
We have some fundraising ideas.
Yeah,
Okay.
it works.
I mean, if you put banners up around that thing, I think it'd be a no-brainer for some of the businesses in town to step up. And
I know who you first one would be.
I think I might know the second one.
I'm gonna tell you, I've lived here my entire life. I'm not a cow, how long that is, but long enough. And I am so proud of our team. We have turned a corner here. And the community spirit and the morale is at an all-time high. I have customers from Richlands and Princeton and Land, and they'll come in my store and the exact quote I hear all the time is, Tazewell's got it going on. You know, we don't always see it. You know, I look out and I still see well, I don't see the town I grew up in, because we have lots of holes on Main Street that are not filled up anymore.
Just put flowers in there.
But seriously, I really think that we have finally come together. And thanks to all of you guys. I mean, I'm very proud to say I live here.
I'd like to share that last year during the holidays, I was able to go to a conference in Williamsburg, and on Duke of Gloucester Street, they had exactly what you're talking about, a little skate rink. It was busy every day I was there. I think it's a great idea. I think I even mentioned it to Todd last year that we ought to investigate that sometime. Thank you.
We got a motion, we got any other discussion? Hearing none, call for a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Thank you.
Thank you all very much.
Okay, next on the agenda is another classmate of mine, Vicky, Terry and I are actually in high school together, is Andy, Diesel Recreation Access.
Come on up, Andy. Hey, Andy, come on up, bud.
Hey, class of 73.
Y'all kids. I was class 56.
Don't drag it out, Andy.
I'll give you the quick version, Todd. If that's possible. All right. These are not scheduled. Okay, Todd's comment means that he knows when I get going, I just won't shut up. Well, let me tell you, let me kind of refresh everybody as to what we're doing and how we got to this point. I was here last year talking about this, and of course, the Tazewell Little League field has been owned by the town of Tazewell since 1915 as a recreation field. And what I'm telling you, I didn't know this until I got into this project. But it was six and a half acres. It was bought by the town. It was supposed to be designated strictly for recreational purposes. In the 1940s, the state came in and put in the brand new road that we now use as main business 19460 and abandoned the road to the north of the Little League field, which was the old thoroughfare. And in doing so, they lopped off a couple of acres of the town's property, and they created a substantial grade separation between the road and the Little League fields, which creates a number of issues. One of which is the bank there between the road and the Little League field is rattling pretty badly. If you look at it, it looks like it's on the verge of collapsing the entire main thoroughfare. It also created some substantial drainage issues, which we're trying to address as much as we can with this project. And Todd Calkins said that the state has a pool of money for recreational access. It's administered by the Commonwealth Transportation Board. The technical aspects of the projects are administered by VDOT, and the recreational aspects have to be sanctioned by the DCR. So there's a lot of people who got the fingers in the pie to tell us all what to do. And when you take it to grant money, you do what they tell you to do, or you don't get the grant money. So anyway, one of the parameters, or several parameters Todd gave you right off the bat was we got to stop the bank from rattling. We got to make sure we don't collapse our main thoroughfare. And we wanted to make sure that we maintain sanctioned play on the field, which means the fields have to be the proper size, the proper dimensions, so we can maintain sanctioned play. We met with VDOT initially. They suggested that we remove the entrance from the entrance that's on the back of the dragons going down to where the other entrance or the exit is for the existing path you had going through the Little League field. So we agreed to do that. They also wanted us to address the drainage issues as best we could. We said we'll do that. The issue we've had is that there's really not enough room to cram all that stuff in there. I mean, when you do a VDOT road, it's going to be so wide. Curb and gutter has got to have certain specifications. The field has to be a certain type of field and whatnot. And there's just really not enough room to get this in there. So before I appeared last winter to discuss this with you, we had done everything we could do, we thought, to get Todd's wish list done and the initial wish list that VDOT had us to do. And then in January, we met with VDOT here, and they expanded the wish list for a number of different reasons, and basically wanted us to add some sort of pedestrian access, which means now we have to cram a 4-foot sidewalk in there. And to get the 4-foot sidewalk, we said, look, we're going to have to get some variances from you guys to get all this stuff in there, and they indicated they could get that done for us. Long and short of it is we redesigned this thing again for about the 5th or 6th time to placate whatever the latest requirements were, submitted it back to VDOT, and we were notified in June that we'd done everything that they asked us to do and they were happy with it. So we were happy ourselves. And then the next step was to schedule a meeting with VDOT again, and the grants coordinator for VDOT, it was Tabitha Crowder. So we all met at 11, and Tabitha looked at everything that we had done so far, the designs and what her engineers were telling us, and said, okay, you guys are ready for the application phase. So we're now in the application phase, whatever that is. And she also said, this is going to take a while because VDOT's really slow. I didn't know how slow, but this was in July. And she requested that we make some modifications to the narrative portion of our application, which we did. Submitted that back to them. Submitted what they call a pre-application form, which we submitted. And since third week of July, we've heard nothing from these guys. And I've emailed them probably 3 times. And I think what they're doing is they're going to wait until they run their process on their end of this thing, then they're going to notify us on what else we need to do. So we're kind of waiting on them. Tabitha advised us we'd be waiting on them, and so here we are waiting on them. So that's the status. I think we've done everything we can do. We're kind of waiting to hear back from these guys.
Yeah, I know how that works.
Yeah. The beauty of it, the longer the wait, to be honest, the better off we are. It was a $250,000 grant, and we're well north of that right now, so it's going to take another budget year to fit it in there. But the history of the town of Tazewell does not reflect a positive hydraulic story. Nowhere, anywhere. Andy pointed out to me, and it's very transparent if you look, but the fire station is probably one of the only structures in the town of Tazewell, modern structure, that's elevated, properly. And I think it wasn't originally going to be, but due to his input. So the Little League field's got a lot of past, and it's got potential for a lot of future. But the way that Tazewell is growing, if we don't participate in Main Street and try to get rid of the aquatics down there, it's not gonna last. Even the DI, drop inlets that are there. Back and Dragon submitted a preliminary drawing the other day for their building that reflected the DIs there. So I encourage Jim Ribble to contact Andy, because I know there's gonna be some changes in elevations there take place. So, it's a lot going on in that bottom. It's very historical, and as Andy said, DCR got some cash out there too that I haven't thrown at you yet, but I'm going to. But that would be a really good project down there. Just like here.
And you'll notice, there are a couple things in the packet there. There's one cross-section. I've got a bunch of cross-sections that I don't want to bore you with all of them, but that cross-section you're looking at is fairly typical of what we're going to be doing. You'll notice there's, instead of using a retaining wall to bolster the existing road, we're using the road fill itself to buttress the road to keep it from rattling. And all the outslopes between the new road and the existing road are on a mower-friendly slope, probably about a 3-to-1 is what we're trying to maintain there, so the town can go in and landscape it or mow it or do whatever they want to do. One of the things we had to do to accommodate VDOT's request for sidewalk is one of those Little League fields, there's a cinder block outfield wall. And we're taking a section of that outfield wall down and putting up what's called an MSC wall, a little retaining wall. So the outfield wall and the MSC wall are about 130 some feet, are going to be one and the same. So that's the only creative way we could figure out how to cram a sidewalk in there, was to make our retaining wall or MSC wall the same as the outfield wall, which we did. And one of the things about the cost, there's a lot of components to this that the town can do by force and canvas. The stuff that y'all do every day. Like, for example, there's going to be some undercut, get rid of that old pavement in there. Y'all can do that like ringing the bell, no big deal. You can build that little detention pond, you can probably put that sidewalk in there, and that might be considered your contribution, because there's $250,000 in grant funds plus up to $100,000 in matching funds from VDOT. So it's not the situation's not quite as dire as what Todd is saying, but because there's a lot y'all can do by force account that will not inconvenience you at all and save you about your money. The one part that I don't really want you to get involved in once the undercut comes out of there is actually putting in the controlled fill, putting in the MSC wall, putting the pavement in, putting the curb and gutter in. I really don't want you doing that. We'll let the contractor do that. But there's, anything after that, landscaping y'all can do, the backfilling y'all can do.
It doesn't sound like you got a lot of faith. The Tabitha will be in here next week, by the way, to close out the train station. So I'll have an opportunity to talk to her again next week. So.
Right. Who is?
Tabitha.
Yeah, find out what's going on. Let me know. But anyway, we all along the way, we have coordinated this with DCR, and people at DCR says, yeah, y'all are going to qualify, but we can't even review this until VDOT says their part's okay. So that's all I know.
Thank you, Andy.
Thank you very much.
Looks like it's a well-designed project.
What's that?
No, it is. That's a good project. Needs to be done. You're gonna lose your road if you don't.
Yeah.
You won't have a Main Street.
And one of the things I asked them too was, and they haven't been very forthcoming with any solutions here, but I said, look, we didn't have these problems until you guys built your road.
How come that's our job to fix their road?
Well, anything inside of our political jurisdiction, VDOT reimburses us for if it's a state allocated street. We're responsible for it, but they reimburse us for it.
Up to a certain amount.
Yeah, we get right at $1 million a year. We get so much money per lane mile. So Main Street You know, it might be 1 mile, but it's actually 2 lanes, so we get compensated for 2 miles. It's just an example, but not all streets in town will be subsidized for, we're just state allocated streets.
Right. In addition to the, and I'll say this before I leave, the plan we have for the roads we're working on for Todd, there's also a master plan in there for how we would like to change the Little League fields if funding becomes available in the future. And the master plan was actually one of the components required to get the project funded. So you'll notice we had to flip the Little League fields and get all this stuff in there. But if you look at the master plan, you know, there is no commitment on behalf of the town to do any of that. But, you know, we have to have a vision. We have to have a plan before we can actually get anything done. So that master plan, I think, is a good guiding light to help us eventually get those little fields into something special. And I think what the town was hoping to do was use recreation as an economic engine. And with the restaurants on Main Street, and we can rebuild those little league fields and have a lot of postseason travel ball play, which is there's a lot of money in that. I think that's going to help the restaurants on Main Street.
And help that hotel when we get it.
Yeah, and frankly, the Little League fields are ugly, man. I'm telling you, it's an eyesore. And you know, I thought forever that the school board owned that property because, you know, if you remember back in the day, they played the high school football games there. And when I got into the St. Retired, I was astounded to find out that the town. And what's happened is over the years, the town has allowed people to spend whatever little money they want to spend in there, but really has not been actively involved in administering what happens on that field. They'll tell the Little League people, you can sell all the hot dogs and potato chips you want, and when you scrape it up and make it together, you can do whatever down there. And that's why it looks the way it does. But I'm thinking, once we get this road in, the next step of the master plan is probably bringing a couple feet of field, tear the whole fields out, bringing a couple feet of fill material to get it to drain, rebuild the fields, rebuild the parking on the north side, and you know, combine some of those buildings so we don't have 3 or 4 buildings stuck all over the place. We have one central building used as a press box, a concessionary, and restrooms. And it's a pretty aggressive plan, but again, there's all kinds of funding available to do these sort of things. And one of the things that Tabitha told us that we needed to emphasize, which we did, is that this road is just a critical first step to get to that master plan. So let's hope we can get there one day.
Thank you, Andy.
And we'll move on to the approval of the minutes. Have a motion to approve the minutes.
Make a motion to approve it.
September 11th.
I'll second.
Any additions or corrections? If none, call for a vote. All in favor say aye. Motion carried. Next is approval of the financial statement and financial report as presented.
Motion to approve.
Have a second?
Second.
Any questions? Hearing none, call for a vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Next is the town manager's update on ongoing projects.
I'm gonna give you a few updates, Mayor, you don't have enough time to give you all the projects. Be a whole lot better to give you excuses why they ain't done. Ongoing projects, some of them that we got that are still going on. As you know, we were awarded, I think it was 9 different structures over the last 3 years. 2 of them are in engineering right now at VDOT, and they are all administered by VDOT, but the latest one coming up is Hardy's, and it will take place over the next couple of months. So y'all obviously aware of that, we talked about a couple of meetings ago. Just for the...
You mean begin over the next couple of months?
Yeah, it'll start. Yeah, it'll be a 6-month project. It'll actually be a 6-month project, but it'll start in the next couple of months.
So this fiscal year?
It'll start in this fiscal year, yeah. We'll start in this fiscal year. We won't finish in this fiscal year. Also, the HSIP grants are being reapplied for. As you know, we did right at $3 million in applications last year, and that was the first set of applications that we submitted in the last 6 years that was flipped. But the reason for it was the dollar values per project. So those HSIP grants are going to go from all the way from the cave, all the way down to Tazewell Avenue. The first phase will be obviously the Market Street. That'll include sidewalk, CG6 curb and gutter, and drainage. The second one goes from, all the way from there, all the way to Tazewell Avenue, and again, sidewalk, curb and gutter, and drainage. If you've ever paid any attention to that route, there is no drainage anywhere in town, much less Fincastle. Fincastle's got one drop inlet from the cave all the way to Tazewell. I don't know how we ain't washed off from that, but anyway, it'll all include that, and also from Fincastle all the way to Carline on Tazewell Avenue was the other route that council approved, and the last route was Lincolnshire Park all the way up to the 460 corridor that will tie into the the new mile-and-a-half trail that we're putting in at the back of Lincolnshire that'll come around. So, and we'll talk about that one later too. But that's all I've got for right now. Now, next month, I want to make a big deal out of this one, but next month, you'll see for the first time your first set of drawings on the hotel. And that'll be right here with the IDA next month. So, congratulations. Your first set of drawings will be here. Greg will be here. Of course, the media and all of them. And Sharon is not far behind with the DA, so. Really excited about that. That's all I've got. A lot of other projects, but that's all I've got.
Next on the agenda is the planning committee. Councilman Murray.
Planning Commission did meet on October the 1st. We revisited the inoperable motor vehicles in the town. Talked about them for a while. We also talked about some zoning changes for the shopping district overlay. And we talked about the family day homes. And then we adjourned.
Anybody have any questions for James?
What was the last part?
Family day homes.
Family day homes. It's homes that people are running like a child.
Oh, okay. All right.
Daycare.
It was done in 2002. And there was put in the book.
What was it?
2002 is when it was adopted. And there was put in the municipal code, so it'll be put in there now.
What is the code? For them, to allow them to operate in it?
It allows them up to 12 kids and it gives stipulations in the code of what they can and can't do. And if any neighbors have any problems, we have to, we won't renew the permit the following year. It's just outline policy. I give you a copy of it if you need it.
Okay. Thank you, Jim. Next on the agenda is the Trinity Road Committee. That's Mayor Mullins.
First of all, I'd like to share that the Historical Society tomorrow night is going to host a meeting with Rick Kirby. He's an Apple Shop and the Crooked Road. And what he wants to do is gather information from Tazewell County about 2 displays they're going to build here in the county. The displays look something like this, if any of you can see that. And what they'll do is,
Okay.
what these displays will do is have text, pictures, and also a 5-minute audio piece that will keep playing over and over that you can turn on when you visit one of these. The idea is to give visitors a sample of the musical history of the area and encourage them to seek out present-day music that carries that tradition forward. There are 26 of these that have already been built on the Crooked Road. The Tazewell County has not been included. So these will be the first 2 in Tazewell County. And he told me specifically would like to put one of them in the town of Tazewell. So I think we need to get on that, jump on that. And if anybody's interested and knows anything about mountain music, photographs, recordings, please come to the meeting tomorrow at 6 o'clock at the Historical Society to meet with Mr. Kirby from the Crooked Road. As far as the train station specifically is concerned, the train station, obviously we started the restoration there in 2014, so Todd is well aware, we all are, how VDOT moves rather slowly. But in all honesty, 4 years, I think we've come a long way. The building specialists, I believe, are finishing up. And Todd can speak to this more if he would like. There's still a lot of effort on the part of the train station committee members, some of which are here tonight. We've met, we've worked on exhibits. The exhibits are going to be going in the station in the next few months. Now that much of the interior work's done, the town continues to work on plans on the outside of the building, including landscaping, curb appeal, setting the tracks for the caboose that we have had donated to the town that will also be situated next to the station and will be moved here soon. There might be other folks who can share more on that information, but that's what I'm aware of at this point with the train station restoration. Todd, you anything else?
No, you did a pretty good job. If council will recall, we had 3 areas that we were gonna do in-house, and Gary is about done ordering material. So he'll be on that all the way up until the spring. Hopefully, well before spring we'll be done. We have an area out there that we gotta pave, that we have a 40-year lease from VDOT on, so we're gonna pave that. And also do a lot of cosmetic work on the outside. But the goal right now, pretty weak goal, is May. I want to shoot for May.
And we're going to have a big grand opening in June.
I'm gonna shoot for May. That's a
You
completion
keep
date.
May in mind. We'll set the date in June, we'll be ready.
Is the caboose going on the 40 feet that we've got rented?
Is what now?
The caboose,
Is what was your question?
is it going on that 40 foot that you're talking about out popping?
No, it's well more than 40 foot. On the right side, it's 40 foot stretching out on the right side, but yeah, it'll go right against the parallel of the tracks right there,
On the other side of the station.
on the back side. And what we're gonna do is, we had the tracks donated, we had the rails donated, by Norfolk Southern, so we're just gonna set it, tack weld it down and make it look real. Should be a good addition.
I'm going to give a quick update on the YMCA. Set up that board. They had, last month, they got 1,467 units, which is basically the membership, which attends to over 3,000 people that is actually a member of the YMCA. And last year, they had over 70,000 visits. And that does not include people coming to watch youth basketball or swimming lessons or et cetera, et cetera. So that could be close to 100,000 people who visit the Y. They are actually going out periodically on Fridays. They have a vacuum fitness program that they're doing with the schools for the younger kids. So trying to get them to work on their fitness. We're waiting on a bid to build an archery range out from the Y there on some property that they own, which will be more or less for competitive archery tournaments. So,
Be what?
competitive archery. Or the Boy Scouts or the 4-H, and those people who actually use it.
I'd like to ask a question about the YMCA. The money that the town donates every year to YMCA, who supports the YMCA at the college?
The college pays for the membership down there.
They pay for everything. Our money's not going from this town to the YMCA down there.
Well, it's probably a little bit of it, but not as far as the membership. The college pays for the membership for the students.
I asked that when I was on the board, and the answer that I got, Jack, was that, I don't think you call it YMCA code, but their protocol is that they do not separate their branches, which the college is, from their.
From over out here.
But if that's a concern of this council, I think that, as with any donation, you can direct your money to go wherever you choose.
Yeah.
Well, I just hate to think that as much money as the town has put in the YMCA out there, and as much as we give them every year, that the money is going to support, well, they at one time had 2 more, but now they've only got the 1. But the money that we're giving there is going out of town.
I mean, when you direct money to a specific place, and, I mean, it's kind of like Todd's budget, you can say what you want, it's gonna find the money and bring it from somewhere to get it. So I understand what you're saying. I think that you may have seen these numbers, I haven't seen them in some time. The college was very close at 2 years ago, they were very close to paying their own debt.
Yeah.
So between their membership and the college donates all property and equipment that they had there, so,
Well, that's what I was wondering, where the equipment stuff
And
comes from.
part of the, there's a foundation that paid part of the salaries there.
So if there is any money going down there, it's not a whole lot.
Right.
in this gray area, like Sean, our CEO, well, he's CEO of both branches, so if it's going to his salary, then, you know, there's all kinds of gray area, but I think that I'm willing to bet that Sean makes sure that he uses that money for here.
I make you second that motion.
I'd like to see that motion.
Okay, should we make a motion for that?
See the motion.
Been made the motion.
I didn't make a motion, I said I'm willing to bet that Sean makes sure that that money is used here at this branch, that's what I said, I didn't make a
Well, that's
motion.
what I would do. Then I'll make a motion that we ask the YMCA to use the money that the town donates for our area only.
Okay, got a motion? Got a
Second.
Other discussion?
So you want me to write that letter? I mean, is that what the objective is?
Yeah, that we don't want the money that we're collecting and sending out to the Y to be spent down at the college.
I can word that as strategically as possible. Is there any target zone that you want it at? Well, I can't. I mean, I can't, I can't. I mean, all I can do is write the letter and,
Request.
yeah. I mean, that's it.
Encourage maybe or something, I think.
Is that something we need a motion for, or just a direct to ask Todd to do that, or is
No,
that?
I need a motion. If you want me to do that, I'd like for you to, absolutely.
Okay, got a motion and a second. Any other discussion?
I'm just, so, Brad, can you be a little more, kind of explain what, say, this passes, what does it actually do?
Well, I see, if a member from Tazewell wanted to go down to the college and work out, they can go down there.
Yeah.
I mean, a member from down there can come up here and work out, or go to the pool or whatever. So it's one entity, it's not necessary. It's two different buildings, but it's.
You know, I can write that letter very, very professionally and just ask for that consideration, if that's what you want to do. If you want to be more aggressive and more direct than that, you need to get the target.
Do other towns in our community support the Y?
If it would create that much of a problem, I'll just withdraw my motion.
I can write the letter, I'd be more than happy to. I just need to know what you
I'll
want.
withdraw your second.
I don't know, if we're charging these, the businesses taxes on cigarettes for their wine, I don't see why we have to pay. I mean, for it to go to the west, you know?
Well, if I'm hearing the discussion correctly, what I'll do is I'll write Sean a letter and I'll just respectfully request consideration to budget the funds that are given, the 3% cigarette tax that are given to the Y from the taxpayers here in town to remain inside the town tax.
That's what I want to see.
More
That's
happy to do
not
that.
right for that.
So as long as Mr. Brown said, it don't make any difference. Just like the town manager says, it's in the budget, we can take it from here and put it here.
One thing, you're gonna be paying for somebody's salary, okay? So if you could.
Yeah, it's all semantics. I mean, I can take 5,000 that you target for that, and I can say, all right, I'll put it on Dr. Brown's
So
salary.
what it also does is politically, there's an effort. That's about it.
There's a what?
There's an effort.
You know,
That would be
in the grand scheme of things, their overhead is much more than the amount of money we're giving them for that place, so
Yeah.
it's going towards that, it's just,
Yeah.
you're not stopping the amount of money that's going down the road, whether it's our money or someone else's, but I
Just-
understand what you're saying.
I withdraw my nomination. Motion.
Okay. Anything else? All right, we'll move on.
I ain't got no back in there.
All right. Next on the agenda is update on golf carts.
Okay, just to give you a little bit of an update, I was not at the last meeting. I know that CC brought a golf cart here. There's a couple things I need in order to proceed forward with making a recommendation that I need to know. And number one is council wanting to put is council wanting to do this ride for the fishermen that are out there, or you want it? You gotta give me some direction to do that first, and then I can go to the next step, so
Well, I think what we discussed having set times.
I can do that, I can give you that.
Yeah.
We've got that set, I
If
think,
council wants to do this.
3 days a week, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, from
Yeah.
October on the trout season.
Let me back up just a minute, let me catch up with you.
All right.
I need direction from council to proceed forward with the plan, and I've got it, I just don't, I wasn't here, I want to know if each one of you want.
What I'm curious about is what the cost is.
Okay.
Because I think the golf cart is the least amount of the cost.
Okay, so let's go into the second step of this. Number one, we have a director and 2 employees. So let me go with this, and I'm coming to a fruitful end, but we have a director and 2 employees out there. The summertime, we have more employees than that. Obviously, we have grass cutting, we got a lot of park, we got a lot of maintenance, we do ball fields, et cetera, aqua park. I would not recommend that you look at the summertime. There's not enough golf carts around to handle that fishing demand. I would highly recommend that you look at the trout stocking season. It is a Class A trout stocking body of water. So the Virginia Department of Game and Inland Fisheries, they look at it from October the 1st through May. So May 31st is the last date that you'll ever see some stocking. So they stocked Lake Whitman a couple weeks ago. They will stock Lincolnshire anytime between now and the end of October, unless the water is too warm. So, but they will do it. It is on. If they don't, they'll stock it twice in November to make up for October. If you're wanting to move forward with it, we have. If you do that, if you stay in the wintertime, because I know the numbers out there, but we don't have to rent something different. I've got a machine out there, it's on its last leg. The police department's got one. We can make do through this budget year that we're in now. And we'll look at it on a bigger picture next fiscal year, which will include transportation from the lower parking lot up to Main Street events. So we can duplicate a lot of things through another go-kart or another golf cart or another piece of machinery. With that being said, October through May 31st, they come in, they clean the park, the restrooms, et cetera, They need some time in the morning to do that. So maybe from 9 to 2 o'clock. 2 o'clock being the last trip out. Every hour, only hour. So 9 o'clock will give you a ride out. And at 10 o'clock, you can ride back, or you can ride out. At 11, you can ride out, et cetera. At 2 o'clock, it's your last ride out. So they will recover at 3. They clock out at 3 o'clock and go home. Public work. Pool employees do public work, rest park. So that narrows it down. The time's down, which are very strategic. The season is very strategic. VML is recommending really to shy away, but if you're going to do it, a handicap, so whoever wants to participate, don't just give everybody a ride out. But what you're going to end up with eventually, it's not if, It's a matter of time, it's when. But somebody's gonna get a ride out, and they can't get back, it's too cold. And it's not if, okay? We'll make it clear, it's not if, it's when. But something's gonna happen. So if I can narrow it down to a select group of people, I can reduce the amount of liability a little bit. So the handicap sticker, if they've got a handicap sticker, we can do that. And we'll give that individual a ride out there, and we can buy some radios from Walmart or something, and we'll come back an hour from there. Okay, but just keep in mind that it is a handicap crash, okay? So there is a level of liability, and I'm telling you, it's not if, it's when, but something's gonna happen. So, that's my recommendation, to do that, and if you're wanting to go that route, and pick a day or 2 days during the week, give somebody something to look forward to. The individuals that may want to take part in that, give them something to look forward to. Not every single day of the week. I don't have the manpower for that. Even a day a week or 2 days a week, I'm tying it up all day. All right, so the little guys will go out, and the girl will go out. She will come back an hour, or he will come back for an hour. And there's not enough time in that hour to do a whole lot. So temperatures, 25 degrees and rising. I don't want them out there riding a go-kart when it's 20 degrees and 15. So 25 and rising, and let's see how it goes, if that's what you want to do.
No snow on the trail, that's gotta be clear.
Yeah.
But snow on
And
the
no
trail.
weekends.
You're saying handicap sticker.
Yeah.
What do you mean by handicap?
Well, if they got a handicap sticker on their vehicle they drove in up there, if they're handicapped and they're recognized by the DMV as handicapped.
Everybody that has a handicap sticker has a handicap card to carry in the wallet.
Okay.
And I'd recommend that you look at that card that's in the wallet, because I see an awful lot of people parking in handicap parks and places that don't have any handicap period.
And we'll do that. We'll verify that. And the other thing is, we'll have Mr. Pike draw up a waiver, each one of them sign, and to try to reduce
Liability.
the liability.
Todd, since I'm on council, can I be covered to run a golf cart? for
No.
these people? No? I'm gonna do it free.
The town employees are covered, of EML, we appreciate their take.
Come on, just offer now. Yeah.
So if you're wanting to do it, that's about the best I can offer, but I would ask you to select a day or 2 during the week.
It sounds like you have a pretty good idea of what you can afford to do, and what is best for the PML guidelines. If you bring us back a directive of what you think that schedule looks like.
Well, I've talked to some of you, and I've heard, 1 day a week, 2 days a week, 3 days a week, so, I'm tying up an employee to it, and that's fine, that's fine. We don't have a whole lot more time in the fiscal year, 7, 8 more months, and the trout season will be over. We'll look at it in the next fiscal year, make it more solid. So the rec park out there, the employees that are out there in the winter time, it's not a whole lot that's been done in the past in the winter time. Not that it ain't gonna be, because I got a feeling that Ben's gonna have a lot of stuff to do, but we'll make this happen.
I have a question, and that is, what would that employee normally be doing if you weren't tied up doing it?
Well, I'm giving you a recommendation to do this because that's questionable right now.
I have a question. Would we have to supply restroom facilities on that end of the lake for folks if we carted them out there?
The only restroom facilities that we've got would be the outhouses because the aqua park has got a pump in it and I can't run it in the wintertime. They're free up, so. We completely blow it out. We'll completely evacuate those restrooms in the wintertime because.
Well, can you just draw, like Dr. Brown said, sounds like you've got a pretty good idea. Can you just throw something together, day, 2 days, schedule, whatever?
I say 2 days a week.
All right, and then email that to us and let us.
Sure.
I think it'd be good.
I think it'd be great, I brought it up, but just Thursdays and Fridays, how's that? 2 days, I know you can't do it on the weekends because of a lot of traffic.
Can't do it on Fridays, that's paid.
Ben, do you know basically what days a week most people fishing at work?
I mean, I can knock out numbers, I mean, it varies. It's mostly mornings. I mean, other than that, it varies.
The first day that they stock, the first couple of days after they stock, it's a line around the lake. But then it fades off, so, but VDGS is not gonna tell you when they stop. They don't tell you until 4 o'clock where they start, so you don't ever know.
Those guys that already know what hole those fish are in anyway, so.
They think they do.
They don't.
So that'd be my recommendation, a couple of days during the week. David brought it up. David kind of umpired this from the beginning. He says Thursday and Friday, probably Thursday and Friday. We'll make it work and see how it goes. And the biggest problem I got is the liability. You know, when we're giving people a ride to the aqua park, we have 2 lifeguards, employees that are focused on them the whole time they're there. All right? They're focused on them all the time. But when I'm giving people in the wintertime a ride to the back of the lake and leaving them out there, and okay, I've got just a little bit of a problem. I got a big problem with that, but we'll try. You know, we'll try.
I think everybody with a handicap, that's, you know.
Well, one concern we can have is if you cart them back there at 9 o'clock in the morning and a thunderstorm and lightning comes up and starts shooting around there, are we sort of obligated to get them out?
I'm gonna draw, once again, I'm gonna draw a waiver. I'm gonna draw a waiver, but that's, I understand the question, Jack, but if y'all are wanting this, I'm giving you the best remedy that I can come up with. The legalities behind it are extremely vivid. They're there.
Who?
The legalities behind.
Did you start this conversation by saying EML told us not to do it?
Well, the email's in your packet there.
Yeah.
They don't have anything in their bylaws to say not to.
Yeah.
They are team players. They just kind of.
They said they'll try to cover you if they can.
Well, I mean, it is what it is.
Well, you know, by common sense, you look at your weather forecast, okay? And if it's gonna be rain and thunderstorms, you say, we're not going back there.
Tazewell.
Okay.
No. VMA? No, they're not requiring water. They'll,
If it's storming, snowing real bad, raining real hard, the guy that's running the golf cart, hey, we're not running today because of the weather.
okay, I've got October 1st to May 31st, 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. Handicap sticker, 25 degrees and rising, and a waiver. And obviously attractive weather, but I need a motion.
I'll make that motion.
And do it Thursday and Friday, but I do want a motion on record.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, kind of motion, I have a second.
Is this on the days? Or is this on the whole thing?
This is for you.
This is Thursday, this will be Thursday and Friday, and we're gonna make it happen if y'all approve it.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, a motion and a second. Any other discussion?
Are we gonna see the full draft before we?
I just gave it to you. I mean, more than happy to type it up for you, if you'd like to see it, but I mean, I pretty much just gave you a breakdown of it, and Brad, you know, it's gonna take Brad a couple of weeks, 3 weeks to draft something up. It's gonna take me some time to do that, along with all the other stuff I've got on this plate. But as soon as Brad gets something that he's happy with, we'll implement the program if y'all vote to approve.
And I think we ought to have something in there that the park manager has the option of whether the weather is good enough or bad enough. to
Oh,
go.
sure, yeah,
Yeah, I
absolutely.
agree with that too. So let's make it happen.
Okay.
For the people.
Okay, any other discussion? Here none, call for a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next on the agenda is approval of the EMS vote, on the EMS.
Okay, as council would recall, last year, the county agreed to pay the town $20,500 a year to run calls outside of our political jurisdiction. There was a lot of changes made in the districts. We were running 945 for a while. We've since then picked up Thompson Valley. I think, Josh, I think we still on Thompson, we still run Thompson. We pick up Thompson Valley. But Mike Himes, due to the cuts that were made, notified us that it would be reduced, and I think the value, Jack, was $10,000.
They actually gave us the 20,500.
But anyway,
But I think in the future, it's gonna be lower too.
yeah, I'm getting there. They originally said to $10,000, but the new contract, after talking to Mike Hines and working with him real good, he's easy to work with, but they're gonna give us $21,000 this upcoming fiscal year. So, starting this past July, so that's $500, actually more than what they did last year. And the agreement says that it'll be negotiable every year. So,
Could we put this off till the next meeting?
sure.
And the reason I say that is a rescue lady is not here tonight.
Okay.
I have some questions, and I'd like to get with her and be able to discuss them with the council before we do that.
Everybody in agreement with that?
Yes.
Okay. All right. We move on then. Next on the agenda is the census policy. First reading.
A couple months ago, ladies and gentlemen, Todd had directed me to prepare an ordinance basically dealing with either trespass or disorderly conduct on town property. Makes it a little bit easier for our town officers and for our recreation department officials to be able to deal with some folks who tend to end up breaking the rules to the point where it makes it unsafe for possible patrons. So what you have before you is a draft of that which I've prepared and I'm ready to go forward with the first reading. You've had that in the packets. Does anyone have any questions before I go into the reading of it for the first reading? And I do recommend you do have the first reading. Second time, you can possibly consider waiving, but the reading, I think we need to have it for the general public for tonight. It's been in Chapter 18 of Pence's Miscellaneous. Be it ordained by the Council of the Town of Tazewell, Virginia, that hereby enacts the following ordinance under Chapter 18 of Pence's Miscellaneous regarding the conduct of persons on town property. Section 18-11, unlawful activity on town property. Subsection 1, disorderly conduct penalty. Subsection A, it shall be unlawful for any person on town property to, 1, act with the intent to cause public inconvenience, annoyance, or alarm, or recklessly create the risk thereof. Number 2, engage in conduct which has a direct tendency to cause acts of violence by the person or persons at whom individually such conduct is directed. 3, willfully or being intoxicated, whether willfully or not, and whether such intoxication results from self-administered alcohol or other drug of whatever nature. Disrupt the meeting of the town council or division or agency thereof if the disruption prevents or interferes with the orderly conduct of the meeting or has a direct tendency to cause acts of violence by the person or persons at whom individually the disruption is directed. Or 4, curse or abuse another by the use of any violent, abusive language to another person concerning that person or any of his or her relations, or otherwise use such language under circumstances reasonably calculated to provoke a breach of peace. Subsection 1B, a person violating any provision of this section shall be guilty of a Class 1 misdemeanor. Subsection 2, trespass penalty. In regard to town property, it shall be unlawful for any person or person to go upon, use, occupy, or remain in or upon any town recreation facility or other town property beyond the posted hours of access or operation, unless he or she is using such facility or is located on such town property after having first obtained written permission from an authorized town employee or his or her designee for extended use of or access to the facility or property beyond the posted hours of operation. Subsection B, a person violating any provision of this section shall be guilty of a Class 1 misdemeanor. Subsection 3, failure to adhere to posted rules and regulations, penalty. In regard to town property, it shall be unlawful for any person to violate any regulation posted at any town property governing the use thereof. Subsection B, a person violating any provision of this section may be punishable by a fine of up to $50 for a first offense and a fine of up to $100 for every subsequent offense thereafter. Further, any person found in violation of this section may be subject to permanent prohibition from further town property use or access. Subsection 4, enforcement authority and notice. The person in charge of any town building, place, conveyance, meeting, operation, or activity may eject therefrom any person who violates any provision of this section with the aid, if necessary, of any persons who may be called upon for such purpose. Subsection B, in addition to any other authority granted by this section or other applicable law, the recreation director or his or her designee shall have the authority to revoke admission to any town recreation facility upon a person's violation of any posted rule or ordinance or upon good cause shown. Further, the recreation director and the chief of police and his or her designees shall have the authority to bar individuals from any recreation facility under the management and control of the town recreation department from any other town property for repeated violations of this section. Subsection C, for purposes of notice under this section, the council for the town of Tazewell hereby designates the town of Tazewell police chief and any police officers lawfully designated under his or her command as the, quote, person lawfully in charge of town property, close quote, as those terms are used in Virginia Code Section 18.2-119, inclusive of the town's recreational parks and facilities, for the purpose of forbidding another to go on or to remain upon any such lands, buildings, or premises of the town. This designation by the council shall be maintained in writing and on file with the town of Tazewell Police Department. Subsection D, to enforce the bar referenced in paragraph 4C above, a written notice shall be personally served upon the offender restricting access to any town recreation department operated property, facility, or event, or to any other town property within the corporate limits of the town. Reinstatement or repeal requests may be made by the offender, must occur within 10 days of service of the notice. It shall be in writing and addressed to the recreation director or town manager as the case may apply, and the chief of police. Depending on the severity of the incident, a 1-year no trespassing notice may be issued for the first-time offenders, a 5-year no trespassing notice may be issued for a second offense, and a permanent life ban no trespassing notice may be issued for repeat offenders with no exceptions for reinstatement. All of these code sections are coming from specifically Virginia Code Section 15.2-1717.1, Virginia Code Section 18.2-119, and Virginia Code Section 18.2-415, the latter two of which are the criminal code sections, which now the town is incorporating this ordinance. There's also a corresponding letter which I prepared, which will be coming from the mayor, which if this is passed after the second reading next month, which basically, as you may have heard me talk about, a designated official for purposes of being a person person lawfully in charge of property in the town of Tazewell, which will then designate the town police chief and any of his or her police officers for purposes of serving notice. So, any questions about that?
I'm glad you read it.
Gotta do what you gotta do.
Any questions?
Any other questions?
Second reading next month.
All right, we'll move on. The next thing is the EDA member recommendation.
Okay, at the last meeting, once again, I wasn't here, but I know there was some discussion that took place. You've got in your packet a letter of resignation from Junior Booth from the IEDA. And again, I need a recommendation to fill that spot. There were some names that were brought up. We can add that to a more acceptable atmosphere if you want to after the meeting.
I'll make that motion.
I don't need a motion.
We don't need a motion.
Right here. He said he
I know, but we have a name, if you have a name.
Well, who's the name?
We don't have one.
We'll discuss.
Oh.
Okay.
I wouldn't want y'all discussing me in open forum.
All right.
did last month.
Next on the agenda is the Virginia Clean Water Revolving Loan Fund.
Okay, you've got a letter in your packet that I'm really tickled to get. In the last 5 or 6 years, staff has been successful to get close to $25 million worth of grant letters. And again, this letter does not give a dollar value, but I will find out in the next couple of days the value to that, and it may indeed just be 0 to low interest loan, I don't know. But as you can see in the second, I'll just read the first 2 sentences. But on September 24, 2018, the Director of the Department of Environmental Quality, DEQ, tentatively approved your project for fiscal year 19. I want to remind council again that regardless of what they prove or how much money they throw at the town, you still have the option to not do that sewer treatment plant project. So, as you well know, the monthly cost per capita is going to be astronomical, necessary, very needed. Can't continue the future without it, but you still have the option to pull out. But I'll keep you updated on how that meeting goes.
Okay, next is the resolution support. What improvements on the Route 61?
Okay, as I mentioned earlier, there were a number of sidewalks that were looked at, and what they're going to try to do is break up the projects into smaller pieces. But the objective, like last year, I think we had $750,000, $800,000 sections of sidewalk where they requested that we pull them down to a more manageable value around $250. But we still want to complete the project. In other words, I don't want them to fund the middle of a stretch of sidewalk and not get the outside perimeters of it. So we want the whole thing at one time. But all this does is recognize the sidewalk going out Route 61. And they just want to be sure that you're good with putting the sidewalk down. They want to give you money, but they don't want to give you money if you don't want the money. So we go through this every year with primary extension, revenue sharing, HSIP, so all of them.
Okay.
What part of Route 61 is this?
It goes from Lincolnshire all the way out to 460, to the exit, all the way out to the
The part they were
460.
supposed to do anyway, they forgot.
Yeah.
Well, this will be concrete. This will actually meander up that bank. It'll actually, instead of being a straight sidewalk, it'll be more modern and attractive. It'll have a lot of VDOT spec behind it, so cosmetically, I mean, it'll be $1 million for a sidewalk out there that we could do for $10,000. It's free money.
Do I need to read that resolution or not?
Oh, Brad can read it for you. I would read it, but I can't even see it. My glass, I mean,
I- Oh, shoot.
thank you very much. Appreciate that.
I lost it.
There you go.
Bear with me here a second. Okay. Resolution on the support of Route 61, whereas in accordance with common of Transportation Board construction allocation procedure is necessary and requested by resolution by receiving from the sponsoring local or state, federal agencies in order for the Virginia Department of Transportation establish that HSIP project in the town of Tazewell. Now therefore be it resolved that the town of Tazewell requests the Commonwealth Transportation Board to establish funding for Route 61 for the safety improvements project, and be further resolved that the town of Tazewell agrees to provide up to 2% match of the total cost of the planning and design right away and construction of this project in the event the state does not. And be it further resolved that the town of Tazewell hereby agrees to enter into an agreement with the Virginia Department of Transportation to provide oversight and ensures that the project is developed in accordance with all the state and federal requirements for design right-of-way acquisition and construction of a federally funded transportation project. And be it further resolved that the town of Tazewell be responsible for the maintenance, upkeep, and operation costs of any facility construction with the HESOP funds. And be further resolved that if the town of Tazewell elects to cancel this project, the town of Tazewell hereby agrees to reimburse the Virginia Department of Transportation for the total amount of the costs expended by the department through the state of the department is notified of such cancellation. The town of Tazewell also agrees to repay any funds previously reimbursed that are later deemed ineligible by the Federal Highway Administration, and be further resolved that Todd Day, town manager of the town of Tazewell, hereby authorized to sign any and all documents concerning this application, except in simple words of project management documents adopted on this day. Do I hear a motion to adopt this resolution?
I make that motion.
Can I have a second? Any other discussion? And hearing none, call for a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. I think, David, that Todd probably answered the questions on the.
He sure did. He made it
Sidewalk
clear.
heritage, and then we'll move on down to the basketball courts.
I just wanted, I've already talked to the director, and he's in motion to get it started. And I think that's cleared on that too.
Okay.
Basketball court.
All right.
So you were happy?
I'm happy right now.
All right.
Okay. All right. Then we'll move on to the postman's meeting.
Okay, a couple of weeks ago, actually a week ago, we had a meeting at Lincolnshire. It was put on by Tazewell. And I don't know how many students were there. I know several schools were there, but it was a good turnout. I've had several phone calls about the event. Got praise from the school system, from Tommy, and it turned out to be really good. They got another one that's coming up on the 24th. You got a letter in your package from Tom King. And he's requesting that the park be completely shut down. I'm not a big fan of shutting the lake down for obvious reasons. That's kind of like shutting Main Street down to me. People travel from all over the place. But for the safety of the kids, I'll do about anything I can to help out. So my recommendation to cancel is, that we shut the park down from probably 2 o'clock. 3:30 is when they start, but we'll shut it down 1:30, 2 o'clock, whatever it takes until the event's over. They're probably looking at about a 3.5, 4 hour event. So we'll shut it down. Any kayaks or boaters that come in and want to use the lake, we will escort them up. Police officer will escort that individual. Any fishermen, once again, October through May is a nightmare to shut down that park. I've been whipped over that before, I got the scars, but anyway.
Are they just concerned about one place that they can?
No, it's the whole thing, it'll be a lot of kids there. It'll be a bunch.
It's the whole
of
district, across the district makes the district.
So it'll be a bunch there, and we'll make it happen, but we can transport them from the aqua park. We can give them rides up. So I think we can manage. I just need council support to move forward. I'm all for it. I think it'd be good for the community, good for the kids. I told Tommy King the biggest thing I want is for him to be able to call Lincolnshire his home. I don't think they've ever had a place that they could really call home. And, that's where their turf is at. So I think it's good. And what we'll do is we'll get on Face Channel, on Facebook, we'll get on Twitter, we'll do all the posting, we'll We'll post it at the park, we'll do everything we can to put it out there and let the public know that the lake's gonna be shut down, and I'm sure Dave talks to all the fishermen out there, so he can let all of them know that, you know, what we'll have out there. And we'll do everything we can to make it a happy day for everybody.
You
Try to
do that
make-
now.
But I know it's coming, but I got the raw shoulder. That's all I've got. I just need a motion, by the way.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Got a motion and a second, any other discussion? Hearing none, call for a vote, all in favor say aye. This is not in the packet, but we get a letter from the, Tazewell High School band boosters, Marquia Freeman. They are going to, they're asking for help with some transportation costs that they have been to. I know there are 2 competitions, they want to go to the third. Actually, the schools don't have enough money. They're asking for $550. They actually finished, had a couple first place last weekend.
What's our guidelines for large groups?
I think I copied that to you. Hang on just a second now.
I'll get a running
total.
Are we already on our, we asked for a running total, you had it last time, and we are already like $1,000 over our budget that you said you'd take from somewhere else.
I can't even remember.
I remember that discussion, I don't remember how much it was. Anybody else remember that? We'd already overspent whatever you put in that line item.
And I'm gonna cut it again next year.
There's a balance of $950
A
left.
balance, positive balance?
For June.
Yeah,
From June to June.
That's right, in June, I'm gonna cut it again.
How much is that for a group of that many?
How many people is it again?
59.
All right, 51 to 150 is $50 to $400, so you got a range, 50 to $400.
And they asked for 550.
They didn't.
They had asked for
They didn't ask for it, they just called
Says the
it.
transportation cost for competition is $550 for each, and they want to go to 3 or 4 places.
They've been the 2, I think. Is that correct?
Does the Tazewell High School band show up when we have parades?
Yes.
They sure do. 250.
Shouldn't we support them in turn?
Sure.
I think we supported the green team, we supported the football team, and I think we need to support the band.
Bam.
I'll make a motion, we give $400.
I second.
Okay, got a motion for $400 and a second, any other discussion?
I'm waiting on.
Boy, I'm gonna cut y'all budget.
Okay. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. All right, before we go, ask for, is anybody on the list? Okay. All right. I'm sure all of you have heard about the article in the New York Times. It's in our packet here. It's pretty amazing that we made the Sunday edition of the New York Times, and as a positive. And he was in here a couple weeks ago, and he was taking pictures of Main Street, took thousands of pictures, so maybe he can share some of those with us. Before we go, I think Josh has a farm parade prediction week, is that correct?
Yes, sir. Saturday, 6 o'clock.
Okay, and then, yes, I got it. All right. Also, Halloween will be on Main Street. And afterwards. No, yeah, before. Okay. And also the Veterans Day Parade will be for the next meeting. Okay, I entertain a motion to go to the executive session.
Can I bring up something there?
You brought up enough tonight. Time to go home.
Okay.
Okay, yeah? Ask the mayor if it's all right. The Destin's warehouse building, is that, up for sale?
I think so.
Is it sold?
Yeah, they were the other day looking at it.
Who bought it?
I have no
Who
idea.
bought that? Earl King?
Earl bought the Aggie warehouse.
Talking about the Destin's building.
The Destin's
Is
building.
that the cotton
That's,
building?
that's the one you...
No. Earl King bought the Aggie warehouse. He has his.
That's the one about $4,000. But, no, I had
So he ain't
a
gonna.
resident
still-
that brought an issue up about, see if anybody reps the building to have something for the kids during the winter months to play. It's a big building, Sam. I mean, I like to go in there and look at it.
There was somebody, I was at the post office today, or somebody, I was talking to Earl, and somebody was actually going into that building today, there was 3 gentlemen.
Oh,
Huh?
oh.
We done?
I'm done.
I make a motion, we go into executive session.
Second.
All right, go to executive session for real property and personnel for the, their motion. Second.
Motion.
All in favor, say aye.